I thought we were done with this debate. Donald Trump's tweets, are they news or not? We went through this when he was president-elect, and now in the wake of the alleged, purported wiretapping claim against Barack Obama, the president has not exactly provided any proof for, this debate is back. So you had Anderson Cooper of CNN telling Stephen Colbert that he has muted the president on Twitter because he doesn't want all this drama in his life. All right, that's kind of a joke. But more seriously, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow telling The Wrap that when they put their show together, they consider covering the White House like a silent movie. I stopped covering the Twitter feed. Well, actually, you can't stop covering the Twitter feed, even if you thought that was a good idea, because when the president makes news, and I'm not talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger got fired from The Apprentice kind of tweets, but if you look at the claim that he made last weekend that has caused this media explosion about the alleged wiretapping, the claim that Barack Obama, despite the denials, ordered him wiretapped or Trump Tower surveillance during the campaign. I mean, it has been such a big story with reaction from Congress, FBI, CIA, the media, the Sean Spicer briefings, that just because it started with a few tweets doesn't mean you can ignore it. But here's an interesting argument. In National Review, Ben Shapiro says there's sort of two levels to the Trump administration, what they actually do, the performance, and ultimately, of course, that's how the president will be judged. And then there are things like the tweets. And he says, well, what? Let me just read this here. Here's a suggestion. Instead of treating Trump's rhetoric seriously, wouldn't America be better off if we did ignore it? What if instead of going nuts over a half-baked Trump tweet for a week, we all just recognized that the tweet is what it is, a half-baked Trump tweet? Well, here's the deal. Whether it's half-baked, fully baked, quarter-baked, I don't care. First of all, whatever the President of the United States says is news, and it doesn't matter where he says it, whether it's a shouted answer, radio, YouTube, or on Twitter, it's news. Second of all, this sort of suggests that, well, we don't really have to take this president's words all that seriously. We can just kind of ignore it, put it on the back burner, pretend it didn't happen, and cover his actions in office. Now, imagine if Barack Obama was still president, and people were saying, gee, you know, that Barack Obama, he said some wild and crazy things on Twitter. Let's just ignore it and focus on what the Obama White House is actually doing. There would be howls of outrage that we were letting Obama off the hook, that we were censoring it, that we were covering up for him. So I think from an accountability point of view, that doesn't fly. But finally, the thing is that no matter how much people might take issue with the tweets, if indeed the president is tweeting things that turn out to be, let's say, factually challenged along some kind of continuum, well, that's news too. People need to know that as well. Now, I will concede this point. Everybody in the world is not on Twitter. Everybody is not watching cable news all day. Those of us in the journalism business, we're in a bit of a bubble, and so we think that every time the president tweets something and we go crazy about it, and we put it on the websites and we have cable news segments about it, that it's such a big deal. It may not be that big a deal. Many Americans may be tuning it out. They may simply not be following the news close enough. But if you want to look at our responsibility as journalists, and yes, we ought to be selective, and every single throat-clearing tweet is not necessarily huge breaking news. But when you have a president accusing a former president of breaking the law by wiretapping him, or many of the other things that this president has said on Twitter, sometimes when watching Fox or Friends or other cable news shows, for example, I think that we have to deal with that as part of the whole presidential picture. And to suggest that we can just do it like a silent movie and ignore it, it just doesn't work in the real world.